Welcome to the podcast. I am going to be talking about something that it seems like most people are running around like this is some type of victory. And that would be the article on the increase of the Black population. And so the article states that the Black population has increased by 32%. And I believe it was 32% since the early 2000s. And so with this article, a lot of people clearly are having a hard time trying to decipher the information. And they're just going by what is their face value. And so when it comes to articles like this or just research, you really do have to dig deep to find out what the truth is. Usually it's there. Sometimes it takes a bit of critical thinking. You must ask questions because it's not always what you think it is. So the Pew Research Center basically came out and said that we now have 4.79 million Black Americans. And so part of that is people are not distinguishing Black Americans that are from the American descendants of slaves versus Black people who have came from all over the globe, be it the Caribbeans, whether it's Africa, whether it's from European nations or wherever else. Okay. So as I began to listen, just mostly to one commentator bragging about how the Black population is now this, what they consider a huge number, I personally don't think that it's a win, because we're talking about, we want to distinguish ourselves as the American descendants of slaves. And I actually have my own term that I use, and that's the African American descendants of American slavery. We're going to have to do that. And that even means to distinguish ourselves between those who have come from foreign nations who consider themselves Black. And because you can't have it both ways. So let me just get into really quickly what issue I have with how people are interpreting this. So the Pew Research basically says the number of Black people living in the United States reached a new high of 47.9 million in 2022, up about a third, which is 32% since 2000, according to their analysis. Okay. And the government data. So they say that the group is diverse. That's your key word right there, diverse. Okay. With a growing number and share born outside of the U.S. and an increasing number saying they are of two or more races. Okay. So it says for Black History Month, here are key facts about the nation's Black population. In this analysis, the Black population is made up of three main groups: single race, non-Hispanic Black people, non-Hispanic multiracial Black people, and Black Hispanics. Okay. So part of this article talks about the Black population, and the issue is we have made Black a catch-all group, and Black is not a catch-all group. Black is not going to be multi-race. So one of the things that stands out is in this data that they got was what the census, how it allows people to categorize themselves. And some of the respondents, when they responded to the questions on the census, even though they were multiracial, they listed themselves as black. Because now we know that you can identify pretty much as what you want, whatever your race is. Okay? So I take issue with that because I don't see black coming from all these different lenses of being multiracial, perhaps maybe multi-ethnic, but not multiracial. Because if you are black and white, or black and Asian, where you're literally are biracial or mixed race, or you're black, white, and Asian, because maybe one of your parents is a mix, or maybe both of your parents are a mix, I don't consider that black. Okay? I do understand that black people in America who have descended from the slaves, we do come with a certain type of admixture of black, but that's usually below 20%. Sometimes it's even below 10%. Okay, it just depends. And it also depends on what area of the country that you are from. But to say that you are 50% black, 40% black, 30% black, that does not make you black. At least not in my definition of black. And I think that's where I find myself finding it really hard and really difficult to listen to people. Is because they're saying, oh, you are black if one of your parents are black. That's not true. That is not how genetics works. Now, that's how white supremacy works. So if you subscribe to white supremacist ideals, then of course you can say, all right, well, this person is considered black. But if you're ever trying to liberate yourself from the white supremacist grip, you're going to need to get rid of the definitions. Okay? And for someone to be considered multiracial, I'm sorry, but that's not black. Okay? At least not in how I define the word. So really quickly, just to sum it up, the actual article and the research that Pew did was they have terms of, single race, okay, non-Hispanic black alone, non-Hispanic and single race black, okay. They use all of these things interchangeably to refer to the same populations, okay. And then they're basically saying that the population of these individuals or this group who identifies themselves as black, they actually self-identified as that. So we don't know these people. These people have come into the country from all different places. Some people literally are not black, and it is many of them. A lot you can hear people say, "Oh, it's not all of them." Of course, it's not going to be all of them, but I can tell you there is a huge number of people, and I know for a fact there is a large number of young people under the age of 18 who are biracial. They could be Hispanic and black. They might be white and black, where their mother is of a different race. And it could be their father of a different race. And I know this because of personal experience, where the mother was black and the daughter, of course, was biracial because the father was white. And she says she's black. And unfortunately, I had to tell her, I don't consider you black because that's not black. Okay. Now, you do have to draw lines. If you're going to stand for something, you're going to have to draw lines. You can't be straddling the fence. Okay. And it can't be this, because I see myself as black. My experiences are black. That doesn't make you black. Sure, you can identify with people who might be black. A white person can identify with a person who may be black because of their experiences. They may have grew up in an area where, most of their friends are black, or gone to school with black people. And they can relate to your culture. They love the same music, okay, the same entertainment. They might have even gone to church and sat right next to you. But that doesn't make them black. And that goes for anyone who, just because one of your parents has black, okay, or is black, or your grandparent was black, that does not make you black. And I think we really do need to educate ourselves on what it means to be black. And unfortunately, I do believe that a lot of high schools failed people when it came to genetics, because if they had a taught that part of genetics where they talk about Mendel's P experiment, and they go into the different crosses, you would see clearly that a black person and a non-black person does not make a black person, or even if it's the second generation and the third, depending on what the other person's genetic makeup is. Because we still have to take into account that the genetic material from the so-called black person, even if they came from ADOS, they still may have 20%. It could be Caucasian DNA, it could be Asian DNA or whatever. It could be even be Native American DNA. They're passing that along. Now, how much are they passed along? We don't necessarily know unless you were to actually do some type of chromosomal testing. Because you might have 20%, and it's very possible that you could pass on that entire 20%. And this is why a lot of times you'll see a black person who has a kid by a white person or non-white person, and their kid looks white or looks completely Hispanic or looks completely Asian. And it's because of that nominal amount of genetic material from, it could be from the descendants of slavery, from slavery, what was picked up, or it may not even be from slavery. It could be because somebody's parent or grandparent decided to step out over the fence. Okay. So yes, that is an issue. And I don't take that as a win. I don't take it as a win to where, just because it looks like the black population is growing, that we can say, oh, look, our numbers are huge. And I'm like, no, it's not, because you got a lot of people who are coming from all over the place. And I can tell you emphatically that the black population is growing, but they are not of the same culture. Okay. They have different traditions. A lot of them are coming from many Arab nations. Okay, their religion is Muslim or whatever, and not that I'm of any particular religion, but these cultural differences and ethnic differences, they affect relationships with people. They affect how you live next to people. Okay. So I would suggest to really go back and look at that study, because they actually define in their study what they mean and how they collected that data. And a lot of people miss that part. They miss it. Like if you go to the site where it talks about it, they literally tell you how they did it. Excuse me. They tell you how they analyzed that data from the census reports. So go back and look at that, look at how they analyze the data. And also you need to maybe look inside, do some introspection and look inside and see, why do you value, or why do you see a person who is a multiracial as a black person? Because the people that came off of the west coast of Africa, they weren't multiracial and they were black. Okay. And so to take a multiracial person and then to put them juxtapose them right next to an actual black person, be it whether they may have a little less than 20% of, whatever DNA, genetic material, that is not the same thing. Okay. So I would maybe advise you to go and look more deeply into it and to just start asking questions, because a lot of things are being put out there to make you think that you're winning when you're actually losing. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.